We want your penis. We're just tired of everything that comes with it.
Welcome to
CryptTeaze Family Fun Night.
We'll take that chance.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CryptTeaze Family Fun Night, the weekly show where we gather together, talk about our favorite movies, and play some fun games. I'm your host, Chase Will.
Lucas Liner, the managing editor for CryptTeaze.
Hi, I'm Robin Luddite.
I'm Monty Adams.
I'm Sean Wheeler.
And we're joined today by a very special guest. You might know him as Uncle Creepy. He's the founder of Dread Central. He's a Yorkie enthusiast. And he is the lieutenant of the Hatchet Army. Ladies and gentlemen, you wanted the best, you got the best.
No.
Oh.
No.
I am not the lieutenant, sir. I started the Hatchet Army. I am the motherfucking general.
Oh!
Okay? And that comes from Adam himself, who's texting me in the other window about Yorkie-thon. But that shit came from here, along with a lot of other stupid things. Whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, General Steve Barton. Let's give it up.
Woo! I'll drink to that.
So how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a my cat says hi. I don't know if you heard
kitty.
that.
Hi, kitty cat.
It's been a long, arduous 8 months, and I'm just happy to be doing anything at this point that doesn't involve me just sitting here pining for the days when humans were free-range animals.
Yeah.
And I have a stupid hat on, just for you.
Okay, guys, drinking game. Every time the hat makes a noise or lights up, you got to take a drink.
You mean this shit?
Yeah. Take a drink.
I knew there was reason that I put iced coffee and put peanut butter whiskey in it. I knew there was a reason for that.
I got a bottle sitting next to me here, man. I'm ready.
That'll work.
We're discussing Gremlins, 1984 film. It came out on the same date, if I'm not mistaken, as
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters, shit, yeah. It was actually the fourth top-grossing movie of 1984 as well, behind Ghostbusters, Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, Beverly Hills Cop, and then Gremlins. There we go.
How many fact checkers does it take?
I'm not Wikipedia, man. I'm the guy that cheats from Wikipedia.
You know what's funny? It's like a lot of friends out here of mine in LA have always been like, "Oh, dude, you got to come do horror trivia." And I'm like, I watch this shit for fun. I don't want to be competitive. Yes, I know a lot of like ridiculous, like you could ask me what like 7 times like 5 is and I'll count on my hands. But I could tell you Friday the 13th Part 2 was filmed in Kent, Connecticut. I don't know why I know that. You know, it's just, but I hate like going and putting on that hat. You know what I mean? And plus I'm not a competitive dude. I just want to chill out and have fun, man.
That's the way to be. Are you talking about that hat, or you must have many hats? So, anybody have any opening thoughts on Gremlins? We all watched it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Shit, we're supposed to watch it? No,
I'm here
We've
cold.
had
Never seen
over
it
30
before.
years.
Gremlins is fun, man. I really like Gremlins. Gremlins is one of those few movies that you watch as a kid and you're like, oh, that was awesome. And then you watch it as an adult, and you're like, wow, that was fucking dark.
I know. I watched it this afternoon with my fiance, because I haven't seen it probably 4 or 5 years, and I was like, holy shit, some of this would not fly even today. I mean, given how the movie was marketed, we'll get into that later, but like some of it would just not fly.
Like the scene
Very
where they're talking about
horror.
the hypothetical dog murder, for one. Like the old lady's
Yeah.
introduction. She's like, "You're
Yeah,
come near me because I will fucking murder it." I'm like, Jesus Christ.
And dude,
I popped hard when Barney came over the fucking counter and just attacked. I'm like, yeah, get him! Like I felt like I was at a WWE show or some shit.
dude,
I'm a big fan of just the Christmas Santa tragedy story. Just because it's like I have such a lamentation for sappy Christmas movies, and I'm like, thank you. A Christmas movie showing the family falling apart at Christmas.
It's what Jesus would have wanted.
Jesus was a seriously dysfunctional family. I mean, his parents didn't even get laid to make him. How much more dysfunctional could you get than that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, come on. He was 30 years old, living at home. Mothers thought he was God's gift. So, I mean...
And he did a lot of whittling.
Forgive us, Lord.
He had 12 followers. They were all men. Should we be concerned?
Everything I take part in goes straight to hell, so I feel right at home here. It's good.
This thing started there. It's just doing like laps around the parking lot or some shit.
No, we're taking the spiral to the 9th level.
There you go.
Where else? So the movie. Do you guys have any favorite parts throughout? Lucas?
Being that I was a drag performer for 3 years, I popped for the drag gremlin in the bar scene. I don't know why of everything in this movie that stood out to me, but I'm like my fiance again that pointed out, like, wait, does that gremlin have a wig? I'm like, oh shit, it does. And oh my god, drag gremlin. Literally, I wrote in my notes, drag gremlin in all caps. So that's just all I had to say there. So,
John?
I like the fact that the Gizmo torture, I mean, I find it hilarious, like, particularly when they're throwing knives at him. But more to the fact that it was put in there because the Gizmo was smaller, so it broke down so much that the technicians hated it. So they made a list of what they wanted to do to the damn Gizmo, and they picked one from the list and put it in the movie, and that's the knife throwing scene. And I'm like, that's delightful. That crew was so pissed. They're like, give us a revenge move.
Burn it, burn it.
Well, nowadays, though, it would all be done with CGI, and it wouldn't be anywhere near.
Actually, not. They just announced for 3, he's planning to use all practical effects if he can.
For 3?
Uh-huh.
You really think we're gonna get there? They've been promising 3 for like fucking 20 years now, dude.
Is it
well, there's a director attached now who's actually working on it, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I think they call that development hell, isn't it? Isn't that where it's right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like purgatory.
So by the time I have kids and they're adults, they're going to see Gremlins 3.
That's where all good intentions go to die.
It's like Steve was saying, everything he starts goes to hell. We started the conversation, the project went to hell.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Was our destination all along?
That's gone fast, my dear. I just almost took a sip of my candle. I want you to know that.
Oh no!
Weird.
Don't threaten us with a good time.
Oh my god, we killed Creepy. You bastards.
He's got a hat and everything too. Just
I know.
pull the hat down.
This is how I go out, looking like this. Whatever. Could be worse.
Better than naked in a hotel room, but only by like a little bit.
Says you, man.
That depends what was going on in that hotel room, Lucas.
Right.
You don't need to know. You don't know my life. No.
You can die in the toilet of a hotel room like Elvis.
Oh shit! Yeah, no.
Oh shit is right.
I wasn't even trying.
Steve, do you have any favorite parts of the movie?
You know, there's so much. That is one of those movies for me that you just turn it on, and it's pure magic. Everything from the music to the look of it to the way it was lit. You know, it's just. It screams Christmas movie, and then it turns into this absurd thing with tiny monsters, and you're just like, this is the greatest thing I've ever watched, man. You know, I think if I had to pick a favorite, like Sean said, it's the dad dying in the chimney, man. I don't know what it is about that scene, whether it be the fact that it's the biggest downer of the movie and so out of place, but yet so in place. It was just a really, I think, ballsy move by the filmmaker to just include that and bring everybody down in the middle of all this raucous fun. You know what I mean? I just love that. I just love that idea. I thought it was really well done. I mean, of course, I love all the monster stuff, man.
I know I was doing a little bit of research, and from reading, they almost took that scene out of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw it because they thought it was too dark. They went from this movie being ridiculously dark, and then they dialed it back repeatedly. And they almost took that scene out. And the only reason they didn't is because the director said that it is like that one scene in the movie kind of defines the whole movie.
It's the heart of the film. It really is. You know, I mean, everything revolves around that one moment, and that it's masterful, wonderfully implemented, and ballsy for its time too. You know,
I feel like tonally the movie shouldn't have even worked the way it kind of jumps back and forth between like dark
Genres.
Yeah, like it shouldn't
like
have worked.
family to horrors. Like, whoa, okay.
I think that's the reason the movie did work, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they built up this scene. They built up that Christmas scene, like you guys mentioned, and then they tore it all down, and they build it back up again, and they tear it down. It's that dichotomy.
Gremlins is one of those movies that could fit into numerous boxes. You know, it ticks a lot of categories, and you know, it's just, again, it's just one of those movies. It was just like all the elements came together and created magic, and we're all the better for having Gremlins in this world, because then we wouldn't have had Ghoulies, we wouldn't have had Critters, we wouldn't have had all those fucking cool ass low budget movies that came out after it trying to be Gremlins, you know. And it's just it'll always have a place. I love movies that like spawn a subgenre, you know, when something that good that everyone has to emulate it, and no matter what their intentions are, they can't quite get it. It's like The Exorcist. Now, you may be saying to yourself, why is he talking about The Exorcist on Christmas? I actually have a story about that. But, you know, The Exorcist, it's ruined the possession subgenre. You know, there's no one who's ever going to make a movie or a TV show or anything that's as visceral as what we saw in The Exorcist, because it was done so well that it can't be reproduced, man. It's just right there. So, you know, when someone's making a possession movie, it's like, can we go too far? You know, is it too Exorcist, or do we have to dial it back to make sure it has its own identity? And Gremlins very much is in that same vein, because a lot of those movies that came after it, like Critters, and even Gremlins 2 to a certain extent, you know, they just so heavily borrowed from that movie. And it's just one of those seminal films that everyone, no matter any Christmas comedy made after Gremlins, owes a nod to Gremlins in some way, shape, or form. And that's just the way it is.
I also liked all the movie references within Gremlins too. Like, you guys notice on the background of almost like every couple scenes, you'd see a reference to a different movie. Mm-hmm. There was It's Wonderful Life. There was The Howling. Was it The Howling, I believe? Mm-hmm. There was Indiana Jones, I believe, was referenced in the Radio Guys poster. Mm-hmm. Like, all across the movie, there's so many other references.
Road Warriors.
Was that in? I didn't see that.
It's one of his posters that you only see like from a certain angle in his room when he's standing up.
Oh shit.
See, it's the movie that keeps on giving, man. You can go back to it now and notice something new that you've never seen before.
One of the things I really like about the movie in particular is the mom and her encounter with them, simply because it doesn't show her to be a cowering character. I mean, she goes badass. They eventually, you know, start getting the better of her, but she just goes hard at them. And so often you see that maternal parent, you know, it's just used as like a relief or a quick kill or the person running away in a scary movie. And I'm like, yeah, no, give her that power. Like, make her a bit of a badass. I love that.
No, and that's a really good point too, because, you know, after Alien came out, I know it sounds like I'm all over.
I kept thinking that the whole movie too.
After Alien came out, you know, it opened the door for women to stop just being the victim and to fight back. And sorry, man, I don't know how many people feel this way out there, but women are human beings. You know, they could do anything a guy could do.
You have fucking right.
You know, anything. They don't even need men. They could use anything as a. Anyway, I'm not gonna. Anyway.
That was going down. Yeah.
Steve, don't tell.
You get what I'm saying, man.
I'm picking up what you're putting down, but like.
They think they need that, Steve. Speaking of women, Robin, what is your favorite part of the movie?
That was one of my favorite parts, because it was like the whole, like, you know, Freddy Krueger with Nancy just being able to kind of outsmart him and then just determined to overcome him. Like, she just didn't try running away, and she killed like 5 of them or so. You know, like the one killed the one guy seen before that immediately, and he was up against the one, and you know. So I thought the blender part was insane too. Like that was definitely not a kid-friendly part with the green blood splattering all over the kitchen.
Well, I think that's what kind of makes it kid-friendly too.
Looney Tunes violence in Gremlins, you know, and that was
Which is funny because I was seeing in the special features that the idea for the film came from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the kills of the Gremlins literally are like most over the top Bugs Bunny, like Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to hear a funny story about George Romero?
Yes.
Do it.
George and I became very close over the years, and he and I had many conversations about zombie movies and the way he chooses to dispatch his zombies. And George, oh man, he had this cool. When I went up to Canada to do the Survival of the Dead commentary with him, we were sitting on it. Number one, fuck!
Gotta take a drink.
Anyway, we were talking about that, and he said to me, you know, Steve, one of the biggest things about my zombie movies is the fact that zombies are the coyote in my movies. They're always the coyote, and the humans are the roadrunners. And he goes, I've spent so many times, he has a whole book, and I'm describing the size of the book like anyone gives a fuck, but he has a whole book, and in it is just different ways he's written down that he wants to kill a zombie. And,
That's awesome.
and you see that in Survival of the Dead. I mean, there's a lot of really campy kills, especially the head thing in the beginning of the movie when it just lands. It's just, that was George. George celebrated silliness, and Gremlins celebrated silliness. And I think to a certain degree, the world is so fucked up, you know, it really is. So when we have a moment to see something that's so absurdly silly, we relish those moments, and that's how they become endearing to us. Because at the end of the day, we can laugh at the situation and at ourselves. And you know, nowadays, especially this year, we really could use some fucking laughs. So to turn on something like Gremlins and just chill out and go back to a simpler time when everything was A to B and it was just unpredictable but fun, you can't beat that, man. That's why that is the sign of a classic. It really is. The Looney Tunes aspect of Gremlins is awesome, even very intentional considering it was Warner Brothers too. So I mean, there is that.
I thought that too with the bar scene when she was just struggling to like keep them like their cigarettes lit and stuff. Like the fact she dealt with it for so long.
Yeah, she could have
that there was like good.
She could have very easily just like run out and just
right. Nope, she just kept doing it.
But instead is like trying to fill pitchers and light cigarettes, and I'm like, holy shit, I do not deserve you.
Interesting note about that scene. One of her screams was actually real because apparently a giant cockroach crawled out somewhere on the set and scared the crap out of her. So one of her screams is not acting. It's her reacting to a giant cockroach.
I love that.
Awesome.
I don't blame her, man. I hate bugs. Fuck those things.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And now for a word from our sponsor. Introducing CryptTeaze. This holiday season, make isolation fun again.
One thing I liked about it too is that discovering the ways to kill the Gremlins, like there was no book of lore, there was no Sam Loomis character. It was like discovered by the main characters as they went. I mean, there were of course the rules in the beginning, but you don't find out the repercussions of breaking the rules until they do it. It's not something that's so easily spelled out through exposition. It's not something that's just in your face, shoved at you. It's fun to watch.
Can you imagine, since you brought that up, if Gremlins had like a Sam Loomis?
I shot him 6 times.
I shouldn't have gotten him wet. You know, that would have been.
Come to your town.
Wow.
On the topic of shooting, I must have missed a part. Like I was looking away for a second, and I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but we're going off it. Did I miss how Strike or the big bad, the punk one, got a gun at the end? I'm like,
when he robbed her.
I look up and then I just see him shooting it. That was it, Billy. I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck did he get a gun?
Mm. That's the unpredictability of it, man. That's what makes it awesome.
Well, it's about with like the
also want to
Gremlins.
point out.
Go ahead.
I also want to point out. I'm sorry. There's like a holiday celebration thing happening in the town that I'm in, and I could hear like over megaphones and shit. There's a little like parade going through. I live in a tiny little town, and there's a little parade, so I can hear holiday music all around, like outside. And I'm like, I forgot that this was happening, but I'm like, I didn't plan on this, but I'm hearing fucking dashing through this, like shit like that as we're doing this. So I guess we're a little more festive than I thought.
That's you're gonna go out there with like a pitcher of water, like I told you, damn kids. It's gonna be Gremlins.
Can you imagine she got all those wet though?
Oh yeah.
Right.
I have so many comments. So many.
Oh no.
So let me ask you guys, when it comes to Christmas movies that you want, I'm assuming obviously you're all big horror fans. When it comes to Christmas time, obviously Gremlins, it has to be a go-to movie for everyone, correct? I mean, I can't think of few movies that I don't want to watch around Christmas more than I want to see Gremlins. But what are your other go-tos? Because sometimes it doesn't have to necessarily be a Gremlins movie, or even just a Christmas movie. It's just something you watch traditionally every year. What are your Christmas tradition movies?
Saw 2. No, seriously. It's the continuing story of Kevin McAllister, Jigsaw.
I can see that.
Oh my God.
With my family, we always watch at some point It's a Wonderful Life. However, with my friends, because I have friends I watch movies with all the time, it's often, besides Gremlins, obviously, Die Hard and Batman Returns.
Yes.
I will die on a hill that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
If there is a Christmas tree at any point in a movie, it is a Christmas movie. That's a rule.
Dude, Batman Returns is fucking scary, man. Danny DeVito's portrayal of the Penguin, that's goddamn nightmarish.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. It's like you watch that and you're like, how did they even get away with this? I love.
Oh, when he bites that guy in the face, I mean, I remember seeing that as a relatively little kid in the theater, and I was like, holy hell!
You know who it was? You know who the son of the mayor was in Batman Returns?
No.
Christopher Walken.
Nope. Well, Christopher Walken was the mayor, but his son actually Andrew Bryniarski, who played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw remake. That's early Bernard. Well, fuck that. I'm not in historian mode. Where's my hot chocolate?
Steve, what's on your mug?
The Frankenstein monster, baby.
Ooh, all right.
And my Frankenstein ring. And I have multiple Frankensteins up there. I'm a big Frankenstein dude.
I see that.
Well, that.
That's awesome. Would you agree that Bride of Frankenstein is the best one in that series?
Yes.
I would, if only for absurdity's sake. There's so many little things about Bride of Frankenstein that are, number one, it's comedic. There's Dr. Pretorius and those little fucking people in the jars. It's such a weird fucking movie, man. It's great. I love it.
I love the acting. It's just so dramatic where she's just like, like, can't beat it.
Yeah, man.
But as far as Christmas movies, It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorites. I love Jimmy Stewart. That and A Christmas Story. It's very 80s and very Cleveland, and you can't not watch it every year.
No, It's a Wonderful Life. I got to point out, I was watching with my dad a couple weeks ago because it's our traditional movie that we watch together. And there was some stuff in there that I'm like, I don't think they can make this movie again. It's pretty left of center stuff. Like, without Jimmy Stewart in her life, the girl he later marries would have been an old spinster who no one ever loved. She would have been sad. Like, all these people, their lives have been tragically changed. I'm like,
Mhm.
what kind of self-important hallucinating asshole is this guy?
Well, I mean that, but at the same time, when you have stuff in there like, you don't see a lot of movies touching on poisoning children,
Yeah, an
that was the
accident
beginning,
though.
right?
They front-loaded that movie. Thought it was shit.
That was an accident, but yeah.
Was it an accident? I think
He
got
lost a
caught.
son.
negligence.
Someone else had to
Technically
lose a
an
son.
accident, but like,
But yeah, because he was, yeah.
I think he
Whatever,
got caught and
you know.
played it off really well.
Okay, so what's your go-to Christmas horror movie?
Lucas?
I would have to say, oh, that's a hard one. The one that I think of, but I haven't seen it, and I'm gonna take some shit for this. The one that I enjoy, but I haven't seen, but the concept of it is Santa's Sleigh, with Bill Goldberg as like the satanic Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Goldberg is fun in that movie.
Oh, I've seen clips of it. I watched like a couple of reviews of it. I know Wrestling with Regret did one a few years ago, and just the zaniness of it. And of course, I popped when he spears the dude through the deli counter because I'm a wrestling nerd. So it was like, hey, he did his finish. Well, part of it.
Well, yeah. He didn't jack anybody, to my knowledge, though. I don't remember that.
Which he fucking can choke slam motherfucker in the Marine. I'm getting off course. I'll come back. But if he choke slam somebody in the Marine, and John Cena never did a fucking choke slam in 17, 18 years in wrestling, we should have had a jackhammer in Santa's Sleigh, god damn it. Anyway, but movie that I have seen and adore, original Black Christmas, 74.
Love
The better one. The better of the three.
You know, I remember, it's funny you bring up Black Christmas. Bob Clark, you know, God love him, Christmas Story, everything. Bob Clark was an amazing filmmaker, but years removed from it coming out, I really started liking the remake of Black Christmas, Black Xmas, or whatever they want to call it. It's such a fucking mean movie. It's just
gruesome, yeah.
Like they eat eyeballs, they make cookies out of skin. That's some fucked up
shit. Dude. It really just, after a while, I was...
Well, there wasn't there a scene of incest, or it was like heavily implied?
I think so, yeah.
Could be. I mean, and the guy gets killed by being impaled on a Christmas tree. I mean, you can't fucking...
Which is one of the best kills. Don't me on that, but...
That's such a fun movie. I found myself putting that on sometimes even before the original. And I know that's sacrilegious, but maybe it's because I've seen the original so many times, and I'm just starting to develop a love of that remake in particular. I don't know.
Did you see the latest reboot, Steve?
Did
you see the latest reboot?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, I watch everything. It's the horror fan's curse. I know it's going to be bad, but I'll still watch it. I've taken many a bullet for people over the years watching really shitty movies and warning people off. Many a fucking bullet. I have the scars. That was just a shitty movie. It was just, I mean, I get it. You know, it came out of the time when, you know, finally women were being empowered in the right ways, but it almost felt like an experiment than a whole cohesive movie. Because if you think about it, none of it really made any sense. You got these people in this fraternity and blah, blah, blah. And it was a great idea, a really interesting approach, but it was just a ham-fisted execution of it, I think, you know?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I was reviewing it for the site, so that's there if somebody wants to see it and then give me shit online like I got a lot from a lot of people. I do agree it was, looking back now as well, like it wasn't the cleanest execution by any stretch. Like I say, I enjoyed it. Part of my enjoyment, I think, and I'll admit here, really, that did come from the hate that it got and people being like, this movie's like hates men. It's like, well, no, it doesn't. But like, if that's your takeaway, you're missing something.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It's not that the movie hated men. You know, I'm all for guys getting it just as bad as women. You know, I'm an equal opportunity fucking kill people motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? It was just, some of the dialogue was just so on the nose. I mean, there were things about it that just didn't work, and they trimmed it from an R to a PG-13, and they were very happy with the PG-13 cut, and I think that really fucking hurt the movie in a big way, and I'm shocked we haven't seen the R-rated version surface on video or anything.
They were supposed to do like an R-rated or an unrated cut on home video. I remember reading they were like throwing it around, and it was going to be like substantially longer too, not just like 1 or 2 minutes like a lot of unrated cuts, but like several minutes added back in. And then when they released it on home video, it was just, nope, it's the original and a couple of deleted scenes. And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
that sucks.
It didn't do well, so they dumped it, and that's the unfortunate reality of things sometimes.
You guys remember back in the early 2000s, the DVDs, they would have the movie come out, the R-rated version, and then like a month later, the unrated cut with like another minute of extras.
Yeah.
Like another boob
I
that
bought
would
it.
handle.
I bought every fucking one.
So there's actually not so much a Christmas movie, but there's a winter horror film that I do tend to revisit every year. I really do enjoy Let the Right One In.
Love that one.
Ooh.
Oh, that part of it took place at Christmas, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of remember like Christmas lights for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it takes place over winter, and it takes place over a longer period of time. So, I mean,
It's
yeah,
Christmas.
Christmas could be in there, but it's not really more of a Christmas-themed horror film like there.
Oh.
I don't think it fits that genre as well. It's just a very winter horror film. But, you know, winter is a lot more than just Christmas, and I just kind of tend to revisit it in the bleak February days.
I mean, by Chase's metric earlier, if there's a Christmas tree, it's a horror movie. So was there a Christmas tree, Sean? I haven't seen it. Again, I'm going to get shit for it. But
You know what I wanted, speaking of Christmas trees and winter and movies, is I wanted Game of Thrones in the last episode. It would have redeemed the entire,
would it have?
Just add a Christmas tree.
They had a Starbucks cup. Why the fuck not?
It would have been a Christmas show.
My favorite thing about, the Game of Thrones, the last few episodes, maybe with the exception of the last episode, was that all those families who had no idea named their children Khaleesi and shit, and all of a sudden she's like this mass fucking murderer.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, smart move there, kid. You regret that?
At least they had named their kid like Joffrey or something, because that would have had a whole lot more connotations to it.
I fucking hated that kid.
Kid would be such a motherfucker.
Oh, cunt. My God.
Speaking of favorite Christmas movies, have you guys seen this one?
Oh, God.
I have it. I have
What's the better
not
one?
watched it, but I have it on my shelf somewhere.
You need to get off this fucking call and put that on.
Go watch it, come back, apologize.
One of those
That
movies,
movie-
they tried to remake it here in America too, because it's a French.
Oh.
Is it a French film? I think it's French.
Yes.
They tried to remake it here, and the remake was goddamn awful, just like the remake of Martyrs was goddamn awful.
That's what I heard.
Oh, yeah. America, the American movie system does not need to remake foreign horror films. They do
Better
it
good.
fine.
Never again.
And now they're trying to remake Parasite. I'm like,
And I'm looking forward to reporting back on Chinese horror when I go over there.
You're remaking Parasite.
That's cool.
Fucking Trump is going to go live in the floor of the White House. But no, but Inside, man, that I first time I saw Inside, I was laying in bed because my girlfriend would go to bed early because she has to get up in the morning and go to work, and I work from home because I'm a slug and I watch horror movies and made a living at it. And and I'm laying in bed. It's like 2 a.m. Inside just ends, and I'm like, I think I'm kind of traumatized.
like a delayed reaction.
Yeah, dude. I swear to God, I think I came within this close to just turning over, waking her up, and going, honey, this fucking movie, man.
I can't sleep.
It was brutal, man. It's so awesome. That's one of my favorites. Did that take place at Christmas time?
Yeah,
Really?
because she's at home on Christmas
I
night.
know that.
I think
Wow.
like the most brutal part of it to me is like when she reaches out of the. I'm gonna spoil it for you guys who haven't seen it. Sorry.
No, dude. Don't spoil it. Don't. Lucas.
I'm just gonna say the
Okay.
scissors. The scissors scene.
Yes.
Okay, there's enough imagination there, but yeah, okay.
Oh no.
As bad as the
there's
scissors
not.
scene in Exorcist 2 or 3. Forgive me.
It's just, funnily enough, you're crossing wires again. I can't think of It's a Wonderful Life without thinking of Exorcist 3.
Really?
It's impossible to me because that's the movie that Kinderman and Father Dyer see at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, shit.
It's always been stuck in my head.
They're connected. It's like it's an expanded It's a Wonderful Life universe.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember I told you I had an Exorcist story pertaining to Christmas?
Yes.
So one of the gifts I got for Christmas one year was when The Exorcist first dropped on DVD, and I was fucking stoked, right? So my best friend Dave at the time, he calls me. He's like, "Hey man, Merry Christmas. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm watching The Exorcist." And he goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" I don't know, man. I needed that shit. It's religious, right?
There's a nice family gathering, and there's a nice piano segment. It's a Christmas movie.
Hey,
And
the power of Christ does compel you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's soup.
Even on his birthday.
He gets honorable mentions. Speaking of It's a Wonderful Life, too, I also want to see an expanded universe for that movie. I know it's a popular thing to do right now for movies, but I want to see it from the perspective of the teacher. Remember when he
threatened her, Zuzu.
He insults the teacher on the phone, and the guy later on at the bar says, "My wife is crying for hours," and then she's like off screen for a while. But then later on, the kid says, "My teacher said every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings." How the hell would that teacher have known that unless she had the similar experience of meeting an angel?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see a sequel when that happens. I want to see her backstory.
You're making me think entirely too much, man.
He's got a fucking doing that.
See, the angel showed up to her to get her to stop killing the kids.
But was it an angel?
It might have been a pixie dust.
I love when he's like, "You're just about the kind of angel I would get."
Hey, hold on now. Hold on. Just because an angel has fallen and become a demon doesn't mean it wasn't an angel.
See, I agree, man. Weren't we talking about Gremlins?
We were, yeah.
That was the purpose of this talk.
That was the one.
Well, we were on Christmas movies, so
Just
Christmas horror movies was our last topic.
Just blame me.
The train never made it to the rails, Steve.
The rails are the station.
Yes.
The passengers are still technically outside in a cab, apparently.
So I'll bring it back to the movie here. All I could think of was there was the thing that really stuck out to me was the scientist in the lab, or was it the teacher, biology?
Yeah.
And it just, a couple things with him. Number one, it felt really off kilter that it was a black scientist that had that like menacing voice when he was taking a test of the one gremlin. I'm like, this feels wrong. And then later on, like, I don't know if it's him or if it's a different scientist, is like eating in the lab, and I literally was again watching with my fiance. We're like, who would have thought that you're not supposed to eat or drink anything in the laboratory setting was the one thing that would stick with everybody in high school, or at least us.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
here's some stuff that I didn't know about the movie. I found these facts searching up like fun facts about Gremlins, and there's some things I didn't actually know. Number one, they were going to use monkeys to play the Gremlins, put masks on them.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that, like in
my God.
Wizard of Oz style.
How many shit-throwing bloopers can we put in a movie?
Right?
You know what my
Entire
favorite-
fucking featurette.
The movie theater? Oh my god.
All I think of is callbacks like Rocky Horror.
Can-
Oh,
can
they're
I-
throwing shit.
Can I have to share the story real quick because it's my favorite monkey on camera story ever. Okay.
Yes.
Has everyone seen Grandma's Boy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. You, dude, need to really start watching some fucking movies, all right? They're all in quarantine, for Christ's sake. There's no fucking excuse for this. At the end of Grandma's Boy, they're sitting on the couch with the monkey, and a fucking elephant comes crashing through the fucking wall behind them. And I'm watching the commentary, and according to the dude on the commentary, the second the elephant broke through the wall, the monkey literally shit his pants. It stays in my head, and I just sit there and I watch it and I rewind it and I play it.
You're like that poor monkey.
I don't know. I'm a weird guy, man.
No.
We're all weird here.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Gremlins.
Casting-wise, what I didn't know also that I probably heard at some point, it's never really absorbed, is that Howie Mandel did the voice of Gizmo.
Yeah.
More than that, they actually had him do phonetic line readings for the Gizmo part for other languages so that the Gizmo voice was still being in other languages where they released the movie. So it actually had this nice ketone to it where it helped make the movie more successful internationally.
Well, it's not like he had a lot of lines anyway, but yeah, I mean, that type of continuity.
Was he singing too? Because I thought it was so cute when he had the
Nope,
keyboard.
they actually got a woman to come in and do the voice for singing, who was part of somebody on part of the production team who had never done any acting before.
Gizmo
Sounded nice.
is the cutest little motherfucker that's ever been put on film.
Oh.
Right.
And without Gizmo, we wouldn't have had Furbies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
If only they were all Gizmo. I don't like Furbies, but I like Gizmo.
They should have made like the Gizmo Furby.
Yeah.
Feels
never
like
do
a
that?
missed marketing opportunity for sure.
Really
That's
bad.
a major oversight. They never did that?
Not that I know of. I don't.
Oh, damn.
I know they made like little dolls of it or something. One of my friends had one, like got one like middle school or high school. His mom got him one. He was reminding me of it on Facebook today that he had one. On the subject of casting, I forget the actor's name that actually played Randall, but is it bad that I thought for a minute, maybe this is because of the Frosty association, I thought it was Jonathan Winters for a minute before I looked at the cast.
Let me check. That wasn't Jonathan Winters?
No. No, I don't remember who it was offhand, but I was like, I thought it was at first, because didn't he voice one of like Frosty animated films or something?
Now you're making me search.
I did like the Steven Spielberg cameo.
Yes.
Wait, what? I missed that.
Oh, he's the guy in the electric wheelchair at the Inventors Convention.
Oh, shit. Do you guys know also the lead role in the movie was almost played by Emilio Estevez?
Which would have made it a drastically different movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many things in the alternate cut I really need to see now.
But you know, this opens up the perfect crossover.
Yeah.
I mean, because hockey's a winter sport. You've got I want the Gremlins Mighty Duck battle royale. Give me this movie.
The Mighty
All I had is a visual of a gremlin just catching a puck in the face, and that's really funny to me.
Right?
But
I think that going back to the Looney Tunes, that would almost be like a Space Jam version of
oh my
hockey.
god!
Oh my god.
That's a crossover we need, is Space Jam versus Gremlins. Why has nobody done this?
Shit. We are
At
crossing
Christmas.
the streams in epic fashion.
Yeah,
But
there's
I
some
am here
serious
for it.
stream crossing going on here. It's
As long as
kind
no
of
one touch tips, it's okay.
Only
But
football.
Casting, I noticed that the mom was the same mom as in Back to the Future, like Marty's grandma when he goes back. It's yeah, I was trying to figure it out, and I recognized her from that. But other than
She
Phoebe
must have got
Cates, I didn't know
sick
many
and
other
tired
people.
of that set.
Right?
Walk on, just feel like the scene Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Here we go with this shit again.
Also, the Gremlins, too, what really struck me about it was as soon as they were, born, I guess, from getting water on Gizmo, they had an idea automatically of who they were, what they were about. Like, they automatically just understood humanity and what characters they were going to play. Like, they had a flashing gremlin, they had a burglar gremlin. It's some weird, deep shit, but, they were born knowing who they were and what they were all about.
They had the punk gremlin that had the
Well,
little...
I mean, that's
Right.
so necessary, though, because you can't just have a whole... It would be so boring if they were all just a group of monsters who acted the same way.
Like
Giving
a
them each
zombie.
their unique personalities makes it fun, and then makes the kills unique.
But if they reboot it, here's what I want. I want them to do, an apocalypse style, where one of the talking gremlins goes up to a TV screen and goes, "Learning." Did you guys see that movie?
You know what? You want to know what the scariest part about Gremlins is?
What's that?
If Gremlins were real, and we had to follow the rules as a society to make sure we didn't cause that shit to happen.
We'd be dead in a fucking week.
Yep.
Fucked.
No, what would happen?
Absolutely 100. We can't even wear a paper fucking mask for 5 seconds. We'd be so fucked. It would. The world would end in like 2 days. Gremlins would just overrun everybody because I want a burger. You know, I just.
What I really do enjoy, and I cannot say the original pronunciation, but the name Mogwai is taken from the Chinese word mogui, pronounced wrong, but it's their word for demon. So he literally finds this in a shop in Chinatown, and the guy's just like, yeah, it's a fucking demon. And he's like, I want to buy it. He's like, the demon's not for sale. It's a demon.
It's like,
Mogwai sounds cuddly.
okay, 200 instead of 100. It's rare.
And now for a word from our sponsor. Oh, Gremlins 2. CryptTeaze. It's what you deserve this holiday season.
Do you feel like the movie had a lot to do with consumerism? Because I kind of got that from it. That consumerism was
I think that was part of that scene too, just over exuberant of like the over drinking and like the 3 cigarettes in the one mouth. Like, I love the one with the leg warmers, by the way.
Yeah, greed is obviously a central theme to the movie because, you know, the dad's inventing stuff, trying to be successful. You've got the horrible woman throwing people out at Christmas because she's the woman who owns the town and is just being terrible,
threatening to kill dogs.
Yeah, and like the bank is in her thrall, so they're not caring. So there's this really central like, hey, we know Christmas movies are supposed to be good, but there's these really shit people in the world, and this is what shit people leads to.
No, she was a total Scrooge.
She was like the Mr. Potter of the movie.
So what did you guys think about Gremlins 2?
It's a lot. It's not as dark as the first one, that's for certain.
It's not, but did you like it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've seen Gremlins 2 more than I've seen the first one.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think I've seen the first one since I was little. That's one of the things that it really triggered me for this movie is because of the fact of I can remember how I felt watching it as a kid versus watching it as an adult. I was fascinated by both of them as a kid.
When Hulk Hogan showed up, my mind was blown.
I was just about to say it was a training vehicle for Hulk Hogan, considering what he did a year fucking prior.
See, one of the big things for me, I really have a love for movies that throw in references or homage to other movies. And Gremlins 2 did a fair amount of that, which is one of the reasons I have an affinity for it. Like, just being a film buff in general, you give me a movie that's going to do some parodies or homages or playoffs of other films, I'm going to be like, that's fun.
Did you ever see, I think it was Key and Peele, they did this comedy skit about the pitch meeting for Gremlins 2?
I didn't see that one.
No. Well,
shit,
I don't know how. I've thought I've seen everything of that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure it's Key and Peele. Dude, it is the funniest fucking thing you've ever seen. Because if you think about Gremlins 2, the movie's batshit nuts. It's just, there's so much about it that's... First time I saw Gremlins 2, I was high as fuck. And I walked out of that theater going like, did that just happen? You know? Check that out. I'm pretty sure it was Key and Peele, but it was hilarious.
They have a lot of really good horror
I just pulled it up so I can watch it later.
Yeah.
Like, they reference a lot of stuff in their sketches. Like they did one of the Dead movies, I believe, where it was racist zombies. Like they wouldn't bite black people in one of their sketches. Did you guys see that?
That's right, yeah.
Like I don't think it was coincidental that Jordan Peele went on to do some really good horror movies because their show was all about horror.
Yeah, Jordan Peele's a really talented filmmaker. I really dig his stuff a lot.
He's great.
Somebody that I went to high school with said that Jordan Peele was overrated. Like, oh, imagine that. A white boy, like, from Northwest Ohio thinks that a black person is overrated. Move on, kid. Jesus Christ.
You know, that a lot of that drives me crazy. I think that when it comes to things that are, like, focused around on hot button issues, say, like, the last remake of Black Christmas, and of course, a lot of the movies of Jordan Peele, which are done phenomenally well. But, you know, there's a part of me that really misses the time when movies were just fun, you know? I mean, when you look at the movies from the late 70s and 80s, it was like there was this energy, you know? There was this, people were just trying to make the best movie that they could. Whether it happened or not, it's a whole different fucking story, but they tried, and that was their focus, to make a good movie. And nowadays, a lot of people, they get trapped in that, I need to reach this audience and this demographic and this and that, and it ends up souring the movies. Like, guys, just make a good fucking movie. If the movie's good, it's gonna find its audience. You don't have to go looking for it, you know? And that always drove me kind of crazy.
I'm in complete agreement, and I think some of the issues that are occurring with, you know, backlash and opinions on movies by, you know, the populace or the fan base is almost coming from the fact now that because of the internet and access, so many people have seen so much more than they ever did in the past, and so now it's like, oh well, you took that from da 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 da. It's like, yeah. That's how stories happen. You find a lot of little bits from different things, and you have your own idea, and you make your own thing. But now everyone wants to be like, oh, if any idea at all is borrowed, you stole that, and now I can denigrate you because it's not original. It's like, well, there's 7 original stories in the world. It's a matter of how you tell them. Like, calm down.
As Lucas said earlier, she gets a lot of shit for you know, a lot of her opinions or whatever, whether it be Black Christmas, the remake, she like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I know a few things about dealing with people on the internet, just a little bit, like that much.
Just a little.
What a lot of people don't realize is reviews are subjective, man. They're not gospel, they're guidelines. It's okay for someone to like something and someone else to not like something. It's like, why can't you just get that through your heads? And I think what the internet has done collectively is they've given like a sounding board. The internet has given a sounding board to people who's never had that before. And, you know, while on one side of the spectrum, that's wonderful. But on the other side of the spectrum, some people shouldn't be given a fucking sounding board. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is, you know? But now it's like the internet is like, it's fucking, I love it and I hate it all at the same time. I truly do. But never let anyone who disagrees with you get under your skin, man. Fuck them.
I get a laugh at going back to the Black Christmas thing. I got a comment when the review posted to our Facebook page, and somebody went on this giant tirade, like expended far too much energy for so little. And I remember the line, how much this writer get paid to write by Blumhouse to write this bullshit review?
I remember that.
And I was just like, dude, I literally commented, I'm like, dude, if I was making Blumhouse money, I wouldn't be a teacher in fucking Northwest Ohio. Get off my dick. Like, seriously?
Dude,
exactly thinks the reviewers get paid. We don't get paid.
Let me tell you something.
Well, there's that, yeah.
There is, you know, that just like, I would get comments like, oh, well, you're writing about all your friends' movies. And I'm like, well, if I didn't write about them, you wouldn't have anything to read. You know, I know everyone in Hollywood. I write reviews as I see them. It's not personal. And there's some misconception that goes on with, oh, that person who liked that obviously had to have gotten paid by a studio. I mean, God forbid you have your own opinion. Shut the fuck up. You know, it's so dumb. It's like, dude, listen, I've been reviewing movies for 20 years. I ain't rich, right? I'm sitting here going, what kind of soup am I having for dinner? Give me a fucking break, dude. Fuck you. Fuck what you think. It's stupid. Fuck them. Fuck them all. Where's my hot chocolate?
Yeah, by and large, I'm of the opinion, and I know a lot of people who write about, you know, entertainment in general across a lot of different genres. And at the end of the day, those of us who are writing about it, it's almost always because we love it. And it's like, if we would write about this, if we had no audience and no one to listen to us, like this is what we talk about with our friends. It's like, we have a love for the material. If we're praising something, it's because we enjoyed it. If we're being critical of something, it's because it wasn't for us. But as you said, anything is for anybody. It's like, find what you like and enjoy it. And if you're going to listen to criticism, find critics who you seem to have an aligned view with, and they will lead you to things you will enjoy.
Exactly.
Or at the very least, critics you can learn something from and get a different perspective, which seems to be a lost concept in the year of our Lord 2020. But that's just my observation.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
And
now we're all angry. Let's talk about Gremlins.
Well, yeah, I was about to go back to that point that you made about movies in the 70s and 80s just being different. I always felt like the killing of practical effects was where it really went downhill from there. Because then when you stop making shit as real, like the practical effects you can laugh at, but it was right there. Like, you know what I mean? It felt more real because it was actually there.
It declined for a couple of reasons. What the main reason is practical effects are very expensive because you have to do multiple.
True.
Steps, you have to do this. You have to
Time.
do that. And also, there was a point in the early to mid to almost into the late 90s where the MPAA was just crucifying every fucking horror movie that you could imagine. And that's why you've seen things like Friday the 13th Part 8, that there's barely a drop of blood in the movie. You know, fucking the sea captain gets his throat slit and there's no blood. And filmmakers just stopped even putting effects into the movies at that point because, they're spending all this money to get it done and then it gets cut out and no one ever sees it, So, and that's why it started declining, but thankfully it came back around again. And now you see all sorts of violent shit even on TV, dude. The Walking Dead still makes me fucking laugh when I see the shit that they get away with, Like 20 years ago, that would not have flown at all on TV.
CSI was groundbreaking for like gore and dismemberment and that on television. Not so much like it actually happening, but like the after effects and autopsies and that. Like that was kind of the breaking ground for a lot of gruesome effects on television.
Well, if you remember, the early 90s, X-Files, the episode Home in season 3 or 4, I believe, that one got
scary as fuck.
Yeah, that was super glorious, super fucked up. Wasn't there a baby buried in the baseball field, like the opening scene?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like I think early 90s where it really started to come back. I think it kind of floundered for a bit, but that kind of brought it back from where it was in the 70s in movies.
Well, yeah, but see, what happened was because of stuff like that, as he was saying, there started to be this kind of backlash where it was just like, no, like there was a real backlash against violence for a time period there. And, who you can point your finger at all sorts of stuff, whether it was, things like, Columbine, what have you, but violent, insane acts in the culture prompted the entertainment industry to be like, oh, they're trying to blame us for this. We need to pump the brakes really hard for a minute. And then, unfortunately, that kind of societal insanity, violence became so normal. They're like, oh, it's not entertainment. We can bring entertainment back and have it be fucked up again.
Sort of, yeah. I would agree with that. When I was working on Never Sleep Again, I'm still ruined for the Elm Street franchise because of that.
I love that documentary. I think that's great.
You're welcome. It was a real labor of love and insanity, and we didn't think anyone would ever gonna watch it before fucking hours, but they did. And thank you for watching it, obviously. But when I was working on that, I mean, we spoke with a lot of the makeup people, and the stories they would tell us were just like horrendous. There were so many elaborate things.
I think it went through because if it's what I'm thinking of, it's like every single nightmare movie, like it goes into detail, and it's like different makeup people had their own take on how to do the makeup, and it was just like there's 4 pieces at a time, and it was all. I love the entire thing.
And then at the end of the day, a lot of the work of all those people, once they finally came to a compromise, ended up getting cut out, and it's heartbreaking, Rob Zombie once said, a long time ago, that in 20 years from now, nobody's going to be talking about Dr. Zhivago, but people will still be having lengthy conversations about Dawn of the Dead. And there's a reason for that. It's because these movies, especially for horror fans, this is in our blood. This isn't an act, you know, this isn't a passing phase. It's who we are, you know? And these movies that we hold in such high regard, you know, they're a part of us, you know? And I don't think any other genre out there has a reaction like that. And I think it's because the genre horror is something you can feel. You can't really feel comedy. You could be funny, you could be dramatic, but you feel horror. You know, it's in here. It's in here. You relate to that shit. And I think that's why these movies have become so ingrained on us and you know, spawned such an amazing, passionate fan base. I mean, even the people that I said before, fuck them, fuck their opinions. You know what? Mm-hmm. Every opinion comes out of a place of passion. You know, they're passionate about that. You're passionate about what you say. They're passionate about how they react to it. So you can't really say fuck them. You just got to understand that everybody is different. Everybody has their own view on stuff. And everybody, for their own stuff, especially with something as subjective as horror, is right. Everybody has a point. Everybody's entitled to their point. The only problem that comes is when they try to push that shit on you. You know what I mean? It's like, fucking like what you like. Lighten up, dude. We're watching a movie about monsters and fantasy. Like,
in the words of Brian Zane, like what you like, don't be a dick.
Yeah, totally, dude. Change the fucking channel. You know, whatever. Just fucking.
Well, no, but I think you're completely correct, particularly about, you know.
That's right, I am, sir. You're
No, but about the movies that stand the test of time. Because when you really go back to, because I really enjoy a lot of, you know, very classic cinema. I mean, obviously the Universal horror films have stood the test of time, but so have movies, you know, obviously like just did a piece on The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, or, you know, the early Fritz Lang movies. I mean, M isn't exactly a horror film, but my gosh, the intensity of it at the end there, it's like that would fit in any scary movie. And it's those kind of very visceral moments that, you know, touch on, you know, really the human emotion of fear that I think is going to draw people in again and again. Whereas there's definitely a time and place where sentimentality, however it's portrayed, may no longer be relevant to a progressing society, but fear is always going to be a relevant emotional subject matter that's just not going to go away.
You know, I've done a gazillion interviews. I've done countless DVD commentaries or whatever, and produced a bunch of shit. And people inevitably on those sets, you know, who aren't horror fans, who are just there working on them, you know, the DP or whatever, they'll come up to me and they'll ask me, well, this is cool and all, but why horror movies? You know, I don't get what the major attraction is to these things. And my immediate response is, well, do you go to amusement parks? And they're like, of course. I'm like, do you get on rides? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, it's that controlled chaos, you know? The feeling that you're brought to that edge, but you're still safe, you know? The chaos around you is controlled. You can get close to death without experiencing it. It's that kind of rush. It's the reason why people get on roller coasters, to fucking be out of control, but in control at the same time. And it's the same reason why people watch horror movies. You know?
That's one of, as we're talking about this, I keep thinking back to my high school health teacher. He always told us that you're only born with two emotions, fear and anger. So it's a primal thing. You're never going to get rid of it. You'll always have it.
I agree. And also hunger and the need to shit your pants, but that's all.
My favorite part about it is a lot of the psychological aspects of seeing humans acting in completely different ways than you normally do in a comedy or a drama or whatever, romance. Like, everyone kind of acts the same. You could see it probably playing out on the street in front of you, but horror movie, hopefully not.
I was just saying, you don't see a lot of people tripping on a random branch that nobody fucking saw until right at that exact
with Michael
moment.
Myers after.
I drop my car keys all the time, though. I don't know, man. Apocalypse.
I do too. That's why I'm laughing.
We're living in an apocalypse movie. That's kind of neat.
Dude, we're living in history.
You ask, yeah.
Have you guys seen Hosts on Shudder?
What is it?
Hosts?
Oh yeah.
It's so fucking good. There's gonna be so many of these apocalypse fucking quarantine COVID-19 movies. It's gonna be ridiculous. But you know what? Fucking time travel movies. I bet you not a single motherfucker puts their dial to 2020. That shit ain't. What happens when they get here? They're gonna have to
I could just see like somebody like turns the dial to 2020 and somebody just you see a hand.
Oh my god!
No.
Like, what are you, fucking stupid?
Or they wouldn't stop them. They'd be like, "Here, you're gonna need this," and they hand them toilet paper.
Toilet paper and a face mask.
What a disappointing apocalypse, right? You know, we wanted zombies and mayhem. We got Zoom meetings and toilet paper shortages. It really
Took the one thing that we really need, and that's toilet paper.
Yes. Dude, did you remember that picture I took of my chain with a fucking roll of toilet paper hanging off it? I'm like, I got the 2-ply, bitch!
I saw people were selling those packs of colored toilet paper from like the 90s when that was happening.
There's colored toilet paper?
Yeah,
From the 90s, they had like blue, pink, and...
My aunt used to have that shit all the time.
Yeah, my grandma had a lot.
Crazy healer?
No, not crazy.
And then,
I don't care.
and then everybody was like, you know, why does my ass itch? Maybe because of all that weird color dye that they put in that toilet.
Why is my brown eye pink?
Yeah.
Right. I was wondering, like, is it color bleed?
That's the real dark side of the moon.
Yep, and we've gone right to toilet humor. My job here is done, folks.
That's a wrap, motherfucker.
This is what I've done. This is what I bring to the table, okay? Now we're talking about shitting. My job is done.
Brought it to the table or brought it to the throne?
What?
So it just comes in the kitchen table, throws it down, dinner.
Oh, man.
All right, so trivia round. I want to see if you have a deleted scene that you're making up that you would like to see inserted in the movie, what would it be? Lucas.
Deleted scene that I want, or scene would like to see.
Like, what would you like more of, less of? What would you like to die, alternatively?
In Gremlins?
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to cut in, because I think I mentioned this before we were on the call.
Mm-hmm.
In the original script, that did not get made because they decided before filming that they wanted to make it more family friendly. The dog was supposed to get killed and the mom was supposed to be decapitated and her head thrown down the stairs. So there you go.
And we need a John Wick crossover where the dog dies and it's John Wick 4 or 5.
Oh my God. Yeah. I guess I would want to see, and I realized that the sequence was long, but I fucking loved the kitchen sequence with the mom. And this is going to bleed into something else we're going to do, I know, but like, I want to know what other ways they could have thought to kill the gremlins. Because we had some great ones, but had to be more that they thought of or that they shot and they ended up on the cutting room floor or something. So a longer kitchen fight sequence would be my pick.
I would like to see the Gremlins get a human ally, like someone else that's going in there and causing mayhem with the Gremlins.
Preferably played by Michael Rooker.
Wait, what?
One thing
I said preferably portrayed by Michael Rooker.
Well, one thing I thought of was near the end of the movie with all the chaos going on after the mom, like he took his mom across the street to a neighbor's house, like I was wondering if she was going to end up getting caught in the scuffle again because it was like the whole town going crazy and we didn't see her till like right at the very end. I thought that it was like a weird transition for her per se, but not terrible. I just remembered thinking that like, where's the mom still? Like there, because it was like the dad a little bit and then.
I want to see an extended version of the kitchen scene, almost like Peter versus Giant Chicken. Where they just go across the town fighting gremlins in a continuous fight. Where they're fighting.
Well, take the scene. Here's an addendum to mine. The scene where the old lady, forget her name. I wrote it down.
That's her name, old lady fuck.
Well, sure.
Works for me.
What? Begins with D.
Death by Chairlift. Oh yeah, it starts with the D.
Miss Deagle.
Deagle. There it is.
Yeah.
I want to add on to yours, Chase, because you're there on my screen. Maybe I fucked up. I don't know. Yeah, there you go. But after the police like see the like chairlift like fly out and she's on the thing, just have that Peter Murphy giant chicken scene where they're just beating the shit out of each other, just for that bit of levity.
I'm a really dark guy, so I kind of want to see Dad's bloated corpse getting yanked out of the fucking chimney, man.
Oh,
Give me that.
Oh no!
It's like a flashback.
You at? That's what I
There's
want.
like
the little girl just
they come
sitting there
disconnected.
crying.
Oh god.
Holding
Yeah.
up a single leg, like from the knee down, just.
Or they try to cover it up. It's like, surprise! Dad was Santa all along. He's not really dead.
It was me, Austin. And
Oh man, some dark shit.
Yeah, that line where she's like, "That's how I found out that there wasn't a Santa." I was like, "Whoa."
hard
Whoa.
turn.
Took the wrong thing from that. It wasn't so much, I lost my dad. It was there was no Santa. I feel like she kind of missed that one. Well, they had a fight earlier that day. She got grounded, so All right, so here's a question Ramen came up with. What kitchen appliance or failed invention would you like to see used to kill a gremlin?
I would say a meat tenderizer would be pretty cool. With a big old meat tenderizer.
I have to imagine he had his own version of a bread slicer he tried to make, and whatever his version of a bread slicer was, like that.
I got to go for egg beater up the gremlin sphincter.
Oh!
Oh god.
You
I'm
at?
thinking something with like a flat iron. I'm not very inventive. I can't think of something crazy.
I
but
would
just being
say
smashed
either-
between.
I'm between two, either a hand mixer or and this could be added to my sequence, my proposed sequence, where you just have like a giant fuck off skillet and she's just batting him away. Just ping, ping, ping. Whoever the Foley artist for that would have a fucking field day.
All right, okay, I had a great concept because he's making all these inventions. So like something, whether it's like a waffle maker or a fryer, something that it's like it batters the thing and cooks it at like right after. So like the gremlin gets cooked and then that is the dog's revenge. You just see the dog munching on it later, like this deep fried like battered gremlin, and that's the dog's revenge. Just
It's like a kibble machine.
Kibble.
You put the
Kibbleizer.
kibble.
You know, it would be cool too, a waffle iron. Press the
Yeah.
gremlin into a waffle.
Or like a George Foreman grill.
Yeah.
There you go.
What do you think gremlins would taste like?
terrible.
Chicken.
I think it tastes like chicken.
Like frog legs.
We made that joke in the
Well, it begs the question: what would they taste like? I mean, they got some tough meat on them. I think you gotta take a minute to think about this.
Well,
If you look-
hold on. It's a demon. It's gonna taste like brimstone.
I was thinking like
Or it's
scaly.
Like McDonald's chicken.
I love that.
Tastes like
Oh, that's
gator.
Tombstone. Sorry.
I'm thinking it would be like more gator-like. Like would be like
Yeah, gator.
gator.
They are kind of scaly-ish.
I mean, look at the legs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're gatory. It's a gator.
Gatory.
So what you're saying is we need Cajun-style gremlin.
Oh my god.
Was that not a character? Cajun Gremlin?
I need a Cajun gremlin.
It will be in part 3.
Hold on.
You came to
Need
the wrong.
everyone from the YMCA thing or Village People.
I can't follow that. No, here's one. Gremlin Gumbo.
Oh yeah.
With some
Sticking
corn.
with the Nolans theme.
Did we just ruin
Would
the
have
movie?
killed, but I thought there. I'm okay.
we
Hers
do-
was better.
It just reminded me of the Indian from the Village People. I'm sorry.
I'll tell you what, we do know that you can't cook gremlin in a microwave. It just
Oh
explodes.
my gosh.
That's because he didn't
That was
properly
one of those
prepare it
not kid-friendly
beforehand.
parts.
You can cook a gremlin in a microwave. You just got to poke
Dude.
it with a fork a few times.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
Mistake.
Cut a slit in the
I
fork.
hope no little kid try to put their cat in there or something. being inspired. That would have.
Oh, Brian, what the fuck?
I mean, I'm sure
just saying
little
that was
kids
not-
did it. I don't know if
I
it was
know.
inspired by Gremlins, but I know little kids, I'm sure, have done it.
I'm just saying, I hope that didn't help
Robin,
that happen.
Never trust a woman in a Freddy sweater.
That's what we call this episode. There's your fuck title.
Oh, if there was a crossover between Gremlins and Nightmare on Elm Street, and one of the Gremlins fell asleep, would Freddy Krueger invade their dreams? What would their fear be?
Well,
Big beater
fire.
in the Gremlins.
Big beater.
No, their fear would be water. No, their fear would be sunlight, which would mean...
Well, sunlight, yeah.
Their fear
for
would
sure.
be Florida. They'd be really afraid of Florida. All sunlight
As they should be.
and water.
Yes.
There's a lot of water in Florida, so I mean, they can probably repopulate as fast as they die.
True.
Mm.
There'd be like
Okay,
a World War
so
Z
then
Gremlins thing
replace
going on.
Lake Erie.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what made me think of it, but did you ever see that horrid Lost Boys sequel with the surfing vampires?
No, now we need to.
Well, I mean, seriously.
Add that one on my list. Goddamn.
Just have a priest bless the ocean. Done.
True.
Roll credits. Vampires burning. Good.
Priest blessing the ocean. I watched Shark Exorcist, Steve. Jesus
Well,
Christ.
see, that then brings the question, though. If water's been consecrated, at what point does it become unconsecrated? And if it never does, there's probably enough in the ocean already, just from all the years, that they're done.
I think the fact of all the people peeing in it may deconsecrate the water.
Oh, the oil spill.
Your kidneys take out the consecration. If you drink consecrated water and pee it back out, isn't it still consecrated water?
And you know what the penalty is? It's kidney stones. That's what it is, man.
Well, I had a quick
Remove the
question.
stone of consecration.
And again, we've come down to bodily functions. My job is done.
At the end, when that lead gremlin died, he like came out of the water, but he was like dying. I couldn't understand. Like, I thought the water was still okay for you, and, and I don't know how he was able to crawl out. And I know it's dramatic, but then it was still like, is he alive? He was goopy. Huh?
Cool fact.
Cool fact.
Oh, I mean, there's a whole area of like, how does this water idea work? Because they're in a pool. It's like they're running through snow. That's literally frozen water and get nothing.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Dude, water is the bane of every fucking movie, man.
Oh, also,
M. Night Shyamalan's signs that they don't like water, so they invade a planet that's 70% water, and what they do, the weather forecast before invading, you know?
Was the blue not a clue?
also, aren't
But
the
I
Gremlins?
give away. Hey, maybe they're colorblind.
Aren't the Gremlins also like 60% water, like humans?
No, that's a good point. Maybe they're just 60%.
I saw saliva.
I'll go for
More
If you guys could
bodily
recast
functions.
one role, what would it be? And who would it be?
Gremlin voiced by Gilbert Godfrey.
Oh, God.
Oh my god.
Just all Iago Gremlins.
No, just one. You just need one. Because if they're all voiced by him, you're hang yourself. I'm good.
Okay, I got one.
Go for it.
Stripe, voiced by Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, God. He's going to come in with an iPad, Sean, and be like, I want to recruit you for the Gremlins project.
Damn it again!
I got a great one.
Again.
Just because it would force such a weird crossover conversation. Either of the cops, Don Knotts.
Jesus.
Ah, yes.
Monty?
Gilbert Godfrey's, you can't beat that. But I don't know. I think it would be pretty funny to have one of the Gremlins played by Richard Simmons. To have this whole jazz thing in the background.
Oh my god.
Wasn't there an aerobics Gremlins too?
Yeah.
Right? Or was that the original? I don't even remember.
Book it. Oh my god, that's great.
I want to see the inventor dad, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He's not a demon.
How much
Let
for
me
the
tell you about
demon?
this great invention.
The Gremlins
Smokeless ashtray.
Go for it.
As far as recasting, Maybe instead of Phoebe Cates, Jennifer Connelly. Not for any particular
Really?
reason.
I don't. Jennifer Connelly has like one expression though. She's like constant pensive.
Well, if we're going there, I want to see Kristen Stewart.
She's way better than Kristen Stewart.
Oh shit.
She'd be like, "You don't like water. I can't feed you after midnight. You're a vampire."
I love you.
Sparkle.
To be fair, the
To be
actors
fair.
who were in those movies hate those movies more than anyone else.
No one
That
hates
is true.
Twilight more than fucking Robert
Pattinson.
Oh, and Kristen Stewart. They hate those damn movies.
Although
They're like,
Robert
we
Pattinson
needed
is
money.
playing a Batman. He went from vampire to
Yeah.
Batman. He
I
must
think
love him.
that's.
Well, he
genius.
went from Cedric Diggory to vampire to Batman.
Hmm.
You know, when I first saw the Harry Potter movie with that, I was like, he's going to be a vampire. I knew it. I knew it.
Oh, look at Robin. Like, I fucking call that.
I'm like, there's no. Everyone was like fangirling about him, even though he wasn't even a huge part of like, you know. I'm like, I knew it, vampire.
Were there vampires in the Harry Potter universe?
Yes,
Yeah.
in the book.
Mm-hmm.
No, Frender's in the movies.
Well, he's a werewolf, but no.
Oh, yeah,
The
you're
one
right.
Weasley brother, one of the older ones, Bill or Charlie, they had an experience or had talked to a
Yeah.
vampire or something.
They were talking about vampires, I think in Egypt, actually.
So it might have been that one Charlie that was in Egypt then. But
Sure,
yeah.
wow.
Egyptian vampires.
There were
That
lots
sounds
of-
That would explain so much.
I think one of the Aurors, or one of the people in the Order of the Phoenix that comes in at the end of the books, ended up being when they like said it.
Oh shit.
That would have been cool to have
No,
that.
I definitely
movie.
know they were mentioned in the books. Yeah, but you are right. I was getting confused. But yeah, they're not in the movies, but they're mentioned in the books.
Dude, Egyptian
least they have a
vampires. That's why
werewolf.
they're shaped like that. The pyramids are shaped like fangs. That makes so much sense.
Science.
And with that, you can tie it right back into the entire Anne Rice universe. So now you just got it everywhere.
Yeah. Lucas, you have anything to add?
Okay, one thing that I wish there was a behind the scenes for, and that was the logistics of the puppet riding that little trike towards the end. I don't know why that bit amused me so fucking much, but the thought back, because I spoke last year with Todd Masters, who did the puppets for the new Child's Play, and I'm thinking, like, I almost want to find his number and ask again, like, how the fuck would you do that? Because it looked it looked good, especially for 1984. So I'm like, how, like, the logistics of that, how did that work? I have to know.
A lot of wires and a lot of painting out the wires. I know that's not exactly the glamorous explanation you wanted, but that's.
Oh no, sure, but
I was just trying to think of.
Cell by cell.
right.
Okay, guys, so we're winding down right now. If anybody has any closing thoughts, now is the time. Sean, you got anything to add?
I think we've pretty well covered it. I mean, it's a delightful little movie that, I think as most of us have said, it really holds up and it's enjoyable still. And if you need a family movie that will also give you your giggles, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, you got anything to add?
Gremlins is also, it's funny that you say that. Gremlins is also one of those good, a lot of people always ask me, what's a good entry point to get my kids into horror movies? And I think Gremlins is pretty much perfect to do that. And also, I'd say maybe Mad Monster Party, because the claymation puppets are really fucking cool. But what I really want to say, though, is thank you all so much for having me. I really appreciate
thank you.
it. It was fun. I had a good time. I drank all my hot chocolate. I played my stupid hat. I did everything I wanted to do, and I got everyone to talk about shit for at least 5 seconds. So
Mission accomplished. It's a fucking success.
Dude, thank you for joining us. This has been awesome.
of course, my
Yes,
pleasure.
thank you for your
Thank you so
time.
much.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Well, guys, we're wrapping up. See us next time on CryptTeaze Family Fun Night. Have a good day, guys.